Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dick Coughlin here with the Total Dbags. It's still fake to us, damn it. And I'm here with Calence.
Yo.
With Matt. Yeah. The one time he hasn't shut up since we just got on call, and he can't even. So let's try that again. I'm here with Matt.
Sorry, I was looking like.
Matt, just say yes, hello. Matt, just say hello.
Hi.
Thank you. And I'm here with Liam.
Ahoy.
Yes.
Ahoy.
That is one of at least 6 words you may hear Liam say over the next half hour. Please write in if you can spot them. Now, so this is our first sort of run as a podcast. What we're going to be doing on the podcast is various questions and various sort of things regarding your opinions or things that your experience as a wrestling fan as a whole will be brought up. But for now, I'm going to keep things very simple and just put it out there, and we'll go round. And we'll go around, and I'm going to start with Liam on this one, right? Because I want to know what everything, because there's this big sort of brouhaha from recent events, and it's regarding TNA, and basically apparently this is supposed to be a universally bad thing. Matt.
Why are you starting with Liam?
I said we're starting with Liam, right?
Me and Caleb are the ones who tortured ourselves with TNA.
Matt, we don't have the time to do this, right? So can I just get to Liam, and then we'll go round, and everyone, you can headline the frigging call with your opinion if you want. Okay, good. So the question I have is that we're told that it's that regardless of what you think of TNA, it's a bad thing that they may not ever be on TV and might not be available. So I want to know, do you actually agree with that? Do you think overall, what do you think about TNA possibly as of October going away from our screens and only being something that we would know about on internet wrestling sites, etc., and on YouTube? Liam,
it's about time, because it's just terrible. It's as much as WWE is
terrible,
disappointing. TNA just nosedives in comparison, in quality levels. Even if your big acquisition is MVP, you fucked up.
Don't you think that's a bad thing for WWE, the fact that they've got no really shitty second company of which they can go, look, we're not as bad as this crap?
Yeah, at least we're not these guys. Something out. I would actually say MVP hasn't been their biggest acquisition in recent weeks.
But he has been one of them. I mean,
yeah, he has been one of them.
He's been one of the 17 owners of the company over the last week.
I'd actually say the bigger acquisition is the Wolves, is the Timberwolves.
See, I didn't even heard of them. So that says even
the only reason I say that is because WWE wanted the Timberwolves, but they didn't want to go through NXT for 6 months. So they were like,
I bet they're so fucking glad they made that decision. Sacking their agent.
Right? Wait, I wouldn't even say that, because the Timberwolves, yeah, they were potential to go onto the show, but it's not like everyone in town wanted the Timberwolves.
Thing is, though, I mean, looking at it from my perspective, I don't watch NXT a lot, but when you watch it, it's a bloody good show in and of itself. I mean, you look at it, could be its own separate sort of things. I mean, you know that it's connected to WWE, but I mean, you could watch it as its own, and it's bloody good. I mean, they had a paper when they did their last sort of special, their 2-hour special. The last hour was 2 matches. One of them was a bloody 20-minute Divas match that was, a fantastic.
In my opinion, NXT has been routinely better than Raw or SmackDown since they've started. Hands down, SmackDown. SmackDown is just...
Well, no, I haven't watched SmackDown I mean, SmackDown isn't even a show anymore. It's just like, it's like when you get to the point where you're like kayfabing the fucking crowd reactions to get, you're basically. I mean, this is why they stuck. I mean, SmackDown was handy only when they had Sin Cara, because they had to keep redoing his matches.
Yeah. So, see, there's now a third guy playing Sin Cara.
Yeah, it's the Brooklyn Brawler. Actually, if you take his mask off, it's Doink the Clown.
Like, that's the big surprise. It'll be Doink the Clown.
That's the thing, it could be anyone. I think it's just cursed, whatever that fucking role. Anyway, the thing is, my opinion on this is that people say, yeah, I can understand when people say that, it's not good for wrestling in general that you only have one company. But here's the thing, if one of the companies that someone could end up watching is TNA, which is producing shite and is doing nothing but really ripping off either WWE's current ideas or it's living off of shit that stuff that was popular 10, 15 years ago.
Like WCW?
Like WCW and ECW. And the thing is, if someone who's not got no real opinion about wrestling stumbles across some TNA or, Impact, and they watch it, there's one of two things is going to happen, neither of which are good. They're going to think this is good, and they're going to assume that this is what wrestling is supposed to look like.
Trash.
In which case it's just going to pollute the whole sort of attitude of wrestling, because wrestling fans' attitudes do ultimately influence the product.
Yeah.
If there's enough of them, or the worst, they're going to watch this and go, well, this is a load of shite. I'm not watching this fucking crap.
Ask Daniel Bryan how the wrestler fans could influence.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's we're not just right now.
Not just Daniel Bryan. It happens quite a lot. I mean, I've said this before, but I mean the problem.
Oh yeah, I know it happens quite a lot. I was just saying Daniel Bryan's is probably the best current example of that.
It's the best current example, yeah. But I mean, it's like you look at friggin', you take TNA, like this whole thing about Bubba Ray Dudley putting Dixie through a table. TNA have uploaded a 49-second teaser which shows basically, Devon putting Dixie up on Bubba on the ropes in the position to be powerbombed through a table with the hashtag It Happens. And they've uploaded this same 49-second trailer 3 times this week. And it's like you're trying to sell me Bubba Ray Dudley putting someone, or Bully Ray Dudley putting a woman through a table. Like, this is something I'm supposed to get excited about. I know what it looks like. He did it, and nothing will top when he did it to Mae Young. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, but anyone going through a table. But it's like, this is just not. This is your big selling point: is Dixie Carter's going through a table, and like your pimp. It's like it's worse than watching them pimp out the WWE network on Raw every 4.5 seconds.
$9.99.
$9.99. But it's going international soon on August.
Dixie fears Bubba.
But it's just like, that's it. I mean, that's their big thing, is her going through a table. It's like something that was popular 12, 13 years ago. Was Bubba Ray putting women through tables. So they haven't even got anything new.
Well, then when you think about it, though, I mean, the situation over there is so bad that Bubba Ray, the guy who has, like, influence on the writing team and has held the title multiple times, when asked if he would give it all up and go back to WWE to probably be like a low mid-carder, he's like, yeah.
Of course he fucking would. Because he'd get. Well, I mean, I always said this. I remember having an argument years ago with a guy who was a TNA fan. This is when TNA were actually not that bad. But he was saying, and I said, look, Christian Cage in with his big character change in TNA. From being Christian to Christian Cage, was part of the main event Mafia, former world heavyweight champion in TNA, and he left to become the ECW champion in WWE, and that says everything I needed to know about TNA. And I just think, why does it actually matter? I mean, if their ratings are good,
don't shit on the ECW title. It was a title so good, Chris Benoit was willing to kill for it.
Put his kid in the Crippler Cross race and everything. Crippler Cross.
Look, it's a total D-bag video. We have to at least make one.
You have to make. I just want to say, not everything that is said specifically by Napalm is necessarily endorsed or supported by anyone else. Not just in this podcast, but on Earth. And because don't go like that. But yeah. So But yeah, so yeah, I'm just saying that I just don't care. And this the fact that they had Russo, the fact they found out, fucking Russo
is still working for them.
Was still working for them, and now and I don't think Russo's could be blamed for them not having their contract renewed, but because a lot of people are, because in all fairness, it's just that's the price you pay for being Vince Russo.
First one fired though, which is funny. That's the first one fired, though.
Yeah, well, again, that's the thing. Let's say you're Spike TV and Russo working for you is an issue. Do you believe? How do you believe them when they say, when Russo says, "Oh, he's been fired or let go"? I don't. I'm sitting there going, "Well, how can we trust you?" And it's like, see, Vince Russo in a way is kind of impresses me because it's just. Because the thing is, it's not. By all accounts, it's not even that he's that nice a guy. He's not even that charming or charismatic a guy to talk to. Yeah. Where it's like Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is universally agreed upon most people who dealt with him that he's full of shit. That he'll basically just he'll talk it. But it's also universally agreed that he's a smart, very charismatic, very charming, very a guy who's very influential, can really sort of like manipulate people. Whereas Russo, it's somehow, despite being dreadful and despite being responsible for burying one wrestling company already, he somehow managed to be allowed to he's like the Michael Bay of wrestling. It's like people keep giving him these big how does he do that? The only way it's possible is if the company is run by people who know as much or as little or even less than Vince Russo.
I'd say Vince Russo's more the Brett Keane of wrestling.
But let's not get too obscure in our references. Michael Bay that was obvious.
But what I see, and I kind of get where Matt's going, is that he's probably just really good at sucking up. I mean, you don't have to be charismatic to be good at sucking up.
It's like Russo, okay, it's kind of like how Brett still lives off of his fucking, I was the first YouTube atheist fucking bullshit. Russo continuously lives off of, I created the Attitude Error, even though that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but that's my point. It's like everyone who knows even a vague bit. First of all, let's stop referencing Brett King. So I want this to be sort of something that anyone who's not people who are not into fucking YouTube can understand. But my point is even I mean, I follow it quite a lot, but even people who know vaguely a little bit more than your average wrestling fan know that the whole, I created the Attitude Era thing. I mean, certainly, Vince Russo was there, and I'm sure there were lots of good ideas he did have. But the fact is that, he's been shown that when he doesn't have anyone to sort of cherry pick through the shite. Anyone to cherry pick through the shite, and I'm not just going to say it's Vince McMahon, because I don't think it's Vince McMahon is 100% responsible for that, because Vince McMahon is known to have some fucking god awful stupid ideas too. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is the fact that he keeps getting high, and I just think ultimately. Yeah, I understand what people say. That say it's bad for wrestling, etc. If there's only one company, but I just think that is it necessarily is having a shit wrestling company that people can end up watching, that's broadcasting on TV, is that not more, if not equally as detrimental as having one? Apart from giving a place for people to go, I mean, because let's face it, I reckon most people probably just watch TNA just because that's all there is. It's like I mean, it's like because most people. I mean, I don't watch Ring of Honor, and it's not because I don't like Ring of Honor. It's just that I can only watch so much wrestling, and B, it's just not as readily available. I just think that there comes a point when you go, I don't care whether TNA has a TV contract and such, and if it's going to die, then so be it. Matt?
Fuck 'em, I don't care. Yeah, sorry, I was typing to fucking somebody in Skype while you were talking.
Do you think though that if it does sort of not get a TV? I mean, I personally think they probably will, because they get a million viewers. There's got to be some fucking TV station out there.
Yeah,
Al Jazeera maybe.
I totally see something. Picking them up.
You know what? I don't know if you guys in the UK have the equivalent of this, but there's these weird kind of pseudo local channels here in the States, and they usually have weird names like My TV.
Yeah.
And they
we don't really have them over here, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, they mainly play a bunch of cheap syndicated old television series like Lassie and Andy Griffin and stuff like that. I could totally see TNA going to one of them.
I can see that.
But you see, that's the problem. I mean, but the thing is, they're still going to be trying. I mean, the problem with that is they've got to broadcast their stuff somewhere. I mean, they've got.
Or I can see TNA trying to do what Ring of Honor does, where they just have a flat-out syndication deal.
That's true. But the thing about Ring of Honor is it doesn't. It's not just that. It's just that you look at the names. I mean, Kurt Angle is not going to stay at TNA. You know, Jeff Hardy is not going to stay at TNA. Even Bully Ray is not going to stay at TNA. When if they're only broadcasting online. I mean, there was that. Have you seen those pictures of them about a month or so ago when they organised a special TNA event at a baseball stadium, and there were like 10,000 seats, and they sold like I think it was 52 tickets. And there's this picture of just like these few people scattered around this baseball stadium. I mean, it's just. I mean, 50. I could sell more than 52 fucking tickets in a fucking baseball arena. If I booked myself in at the O2, I could probably get 100 or so people. You know.
Yeah.
I've done one-man shows in theatres that have had the same capacity as the amount of people who turned up to that fucking event.
Well, the TNA, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just I just think ultimately if you're live show, I mean they clearly don't even. I mean when you look at people like Hogan, I mean Hogan goes there, gets all the money, does very little for it, and he doesn't even promote the damn thing, you know.
No, really, it was...
and then he goes back to WWE, and he can't fucking shut up about fucking WWE.
What was really funny about that whole thing with Hogan was that people on, like, different podcasts, like wrestling podcasts, would talk about that. They'd comment on how, like, Hogan's pimping, how Hogan just never talks about TNA in anything he did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at Rob Van Dam did that thing when he came back, and he said that when he came back to WWE, the question he kept getting asked was, "Hey man, why did you quit for all those years?" And it's like he hadn't. He'd been at TNA. You know, this is why Kurt Angle's holding out on a new contract because he wants to go. He wants one more job. I mean, Kurt Angle. I mean, it's amazing that Kurt Angle's been at TNA longer than WWE. That's just and yet, you know, there's nothing new about him. And there's nothing new about him now.
Not only that, but he seems to just, like, when he went to TNA, it just seemed like all of the humor and charisma that was the Kurt Angle person just sort of drained out of him.
Some of it when it was early, I've seen some of the bits, and it was quite, it was quite fun. You know, but yeah, I mean, I prefer Kurt Angle when he's a heel, but I think my one worry with him wanting to go back to WWE is he going to be in good enough shape? Because let's face it, you know, they are, whilst... I mean, let's face it. The presence of Rob Van Dam at any point shows that the WWE wellness policy is somewhat selective in its random drug testing.
Did you hear what happened with Rob Van Dam with Battleground?
Yeah, he got injured. He's been injured, isn't he?
No, apparently he was supposed to show up to Battleground, and he never did.
Well, he's been. I read on recently on the one of the I think it was WrestleZone that he's been injured.
I hope it's an injury because, like, I'd be like, come on,
he was on Raw. I mean, he didn't fight, but he was on Raw because he was supposed to fight Seth Rollins until Slater went and slated, you know, and
Keith Slater slated him.
Yeah, was that the one? Just the big joke going around now is that Heath Slater has won more matches this year than Triple H and The Undertaker combined.
Also, I hate to change the fucking subject, but here's one reason I've been watching...
It wouldn't be, Matt, it wouldn't be you if it didn't change the subject. So.
Here's one reason I've been watching WWE less and less lately. What the fuck are they doing with Cesaro?
What do you mean?
With Cesaro, they took him off...
He's losing against everybody! Like, he's fucking Slater!
This is not a big frigging deal. Look, don't start doing that thing that all... internet marks.
No, I'm not saying they're burying him. I'm just like...
Well, he's losing because they're trying to put this thing, right? The problem is, and I've said this for ages, right? when you get rid of the jobbers, which is what you used to have in the old days, most of the programming used to be a wrestler versus a local jobber, and it was Billy No Face from Who the Fuck Are Youville. So,
yeah.
Right? And they get, but when you don't have that, right? If you can't push like all of the people all of the wrestlers that people complain about and like them losing or not getting pushed or whatever. You can't push them all at the same time. There's going to be more than other factors that come into it. My
current problem with Cesaro's losing streak is just, like, because I have no problem with Cesaro losing, because he can make it entertaining. Like, look at his fight with John Cena before Elimination Chamber. That shit was amazing.
Well, no, he fought John Cena 2 weeks ago, and it's like, well, look, if you're going to be seen to be losing, that's a person to be seen to be losing against.
But, like, a lot of his losses lately have just been kind of like, why did Kofi Kingston go up against Cesaro? Like,
but in all fairness, he did beat Kofi Kingston the following week again, didn't he, or something like that, or at least on SmackDown.
Like,
I think.
Well, he did kind of do. He did something. He did that weird thing at Battleground. Like Kofi Kingston landed on like Big E's shoulders, and then Cesaro got up in the ring and like fucking. I think he suplexed him into the ring.
But I mean, who's being pushed? Who's kind of being pushed now? Up against. Look at it's Dolph Ziggler up against the Miz. Dolph Ziggler's been beating, but Dolph Ziggler beat the Miz. Dolph Ziggler beat Cesaro, and
I thought Big E and Kofi Kingston were busy getting squashed.
They're now with Xavier. They're now with Xavier Woods in the second in Angry Black Men Part 2.
Kofi Kingston's a heel now. Kalen's
really.
Yep.
No, but I mean the point of the matter is, it's like this is the way it's going to work. If you don't have like jobbers like you did in the old days, or people who you are going to want to lose lots, and everyone's going to have to go just take their frigging turn and lose.
You know what's funny?
No, I mean Dolph Ziggler lost. Dolph Ziggler went on a massive losing streak after he won Money in the Bank. And then he won the fucking title, and he only lost it because the stupid bastard went and got injured.
Really, in my opinion, there's only like two people who you could probably legitimately say were getting fucked up. One of them was Ziggler. Although with Ziggler, I still contend that he's fooling everybody. He's not a good worker. He works fast and he works.
I just think he overdoes the whole sort of like he always looks like he's about to collapse.
And the other one is Damian Sandow, because
but it's the thing again. Is the thing I would say, if someone being buried. I mean, Damian Sandow, but the thing is, they're comedy characters that they've regularly relied on, which they're going to have to which you're going to have to accept they're going to have, because you've got to do that because they're a PG product still, and they're going to do silly stuff that's entertaining to fucking 7-year-olds, right? And they had Santino and 3MB, right? They've lost those two, and so the Emma's probably still in the doghouse for shoplifting or whatever, and the fact is, I mean, the thing is, I would say someone who's more getting buried is something I would akin to someone who's actually more not appearing on TV at all. I mean, you do expect
like the Yoshi Tatsus when he was.
Well, I mean, because at the end of the day, if you turn in a Raw, you expect at this point to see Sandow at some point. You're expecting Sandow to come out. You're not expecting him. When was the last time you saw Titus O'Neil on any of the main programming?
I'm actually kind of curious. So, like,
I haven't seen Titus O'Neil since WrestleMania.
He's in Slatergator with Heath Slater.
Sorry, Kalis, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying I'm actually kind of surprised. So Kofi Kingston is a heel now. I never thought that.
Well, they're not really heel. They haven't really done anything yet. They've just been I mean, Xavier Woods just kind of.
Yeah, he's angrier, and so it looks like he's going to go down the heel route.
They're basically sort of playing up to the idea that, all the black guys are getting overlooked and such. And
you mean because they're all being squashed by Rusev?
Well, no, it's nothing to do with Rusev per se. I mean, it was just to do with so he came along and just sort of spoke to. You wonder why they didn't get R-Truth. I guess they just figured, it's just not worth it. Because especially seeing as R-Truth broke the streak, And, Oh, they're burying Bo Dallas. He lost two matches in a row. Oh, and then now he's won again. Oh, never mind. But
it just annoys me though with Cesaro because his matches haven't really been that entertaining.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is, what do you do with him? You know, I mean, but Sheamus isn't around at the moment. I mean, ideally, the sensible thing would be a feud with Sheamus, possibly for the US title. But they're thinking about unifying the US and IC titles. So you think maybe, but that Sheamus hasn't been around lately because he's been doing other bits and pieces. So what do you actually have? With Paul Heyman really wasn't doing much.
No, he wasn't.
In fact, to be fair, Paul Heyman doesn't do a lot for a lot of people. There's only a few people. I mean, CM Punk and Lesnar.
Yeah. Now that Lesnar's back, like I would definitely like to see Cesaro and Lesnar go at it.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that. At least they're not going to do that right away. Now, there's no point because Lesnar will just beat him. I mean, you know, Lesnar's going to.
Well, actually, yeah.
I mean, Lesnar's pretty much just.
See, what they're probably going to do with that is like a battle for.
But there's no point doing that. If you want to talk about people that are going to take on Lesnar who are in some position, then you've got Cena, you've got Roman Reigns, and that's pretty much fucking it at the moment. I mean, who else?
You know, you could have Cesaro fight Roman Reigns.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have him fight Lesnar at a pay-per-view for the title.
I can't really think of a good reason, like a good storyline reason, though, for Cesaro.
I just think the sensible thing is get Miz, Ziggler, Sheamus, and Cesaro in like some sort of four-way, you know, sort of feud of each other. Then have a unification match for the title at something like Night of Champions, maybe.
The only way I could see Lesnar and Cesaro getting into any sort of fight is maybe Lesnar wants to prove not Lesnar but Cesaro is getting a little uppity, going like, "Hey, I bet I can beat you," says Lesnar.
Yeah, but the thing is, it wouldn't. I mean, before then, up until now, you would have had the Paul Heyman connection, but now you haven't even got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it's going to be kind of like a revenge kind of like.
Well, I'll tell you what. Seeing as we're nearly at the half-hour point now, I think we should just call that a day. Then anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this rambling pile of nonsensical bollocks. Thank you.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Matt recommends Guardians of the Galaxy because he's now a Batista fanboy. In true Matt style, he can't just sort of change his mind or alter. No, he's got to go full bipolar one way or the other.
I'm not a Batista fanboy. I still hate him as a wrestler.
You said you felt sorry. You said you felt bad.
Let me tell you why I felt bad. Because I based Batista's potential as an actor off of his fucking shitty wrestling.
Well, that's not bloody good. I mean, again, it's acting. He's playing a big meaty gonk
So yeah, Matt, it's like he's not
playing fucking, you know, R.P. McMurphy in One Flew Over the Fucking Cuckoo's Nest.
He's just a big thick-headed moron who's super serious. It's not. Come on, really, Matt?
So he's calm. Anyway, let us continue that argument for another day. This has been Dick Coughlin with Calence, Liam, and Napalm for the Total Dbags. Take care. Bye-bye.
You know the true shame of that?
Have you stopped recording?
Yes, sir. No one got to hear Liam's beautiful voice.
We did.